Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Sunday, June 28th, 2015. This is episode 1200. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Credit Karma. With Credit Karma, you can find your credit score, get tips and suggestions on managing your credit, and monitor your credit for free. Visit creditkarma.com, and don't forget to download their app. Just text TWIT to 89800 to get started right away. Hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Last Sunday in June, and it's time to talk high tech. Computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography. Chris Marquardt, our photographic genius, will join us later in the show. Anything that's on your mind. Smartphones, smart watches. We got it all. I love talking high tech. It's a great subject because it's always changing, but nobody dies, so it's not, it's just fun. It's a toy store. And, it's changed so much. It's really gotten so much better. Do you remember your computer used to crash regularly? Doesn't still, does it? I hope not. But blue screen of death, when's the last time you really saw a blue screen of death on your desktop or your laptop? It's been a long time. The companies that make operating systems, Microsoft and Apple, have gotten very good at making their systems more robust. If you have a problem, it's usually a hardware problem. The software itself is pretty good. I mean, sure, there's issues. Programs may crash. That still happens. But the operating system itself is well protected. It seems to run better than ever. And we forget that. It's so gradual. You kind of forget how it used to be in the 90s and the early 2000s, where stuff would crash. You'd be in the middle of something and it'd go boom, kaboom. Of course, now everybody's going to put me to the test here, calling this hour and saying, my computer crashed. But the reason I bring this up is because now we've got technology appliances. I don't mean refrigerators and dishwashers, although we do have those. My dishwasher wasn't working. For the longest time, I have a GE monogram dishwasher. It was a big, and the repair guys came out, but they did analog things. They tested the water pressure, and they looked inside. They added water. And they said, we think you're not getting enough water. Finally, and it still wasn't working, I finally got somebody who was digital. And he hooked up, I don't know why the other guys hadn't done this, but this guy hooked up his computer to the diagnostic port on the dishwasher. And he said, oh, yeah, your boards are fried. I said, what? He said, this make of a dishwasher is highly computerized. It's got 3 or 4 circuit boards. I've never seen anything like it. Almost all of them are broken or not, are bad. Well, what about the plumbers that came out? I mean, these were certified repair guys from GE and said the water pressure was too low. He said, no, because we got plumber, we got it fixed. He said, no, it's actually too high. What? It says here on the computer. The problem, my friend, is these boards are fried. They probably never worked. Well, you're right. The dishwasher, we've had it for a year and never really worked very well. But we thought it was our water pressure. No, you got too much water pressure. You got to turn it down. So he ordered new circuit boards, came back a couple of weeks later. The dishwasher is a computer. And once he replaced the circuit boards, it's been flawless. It's been great. It's a good dishwasher. It's an amazing dishwasher. But it was too smart. And when the circuit boards got fried, the whole thing. The reason I bring this up is we now have this expectation. I mean, you don't expect a toaster to crash or a washing machine. And we've got these phones in our pocket. Now, for years, a cell phone, if your phone crashed in the middle of a call, that's bad. You're calling 911 and it crashes. But have you noticed lately they've been crashing more? A growing number, I just saw this news report of T-Mobile iPhone users are saying they get frequent restarts and blue screens of death on their phone. Apparently T-Mobile has pushed out some sort of update, and you just don't expect a blue screen of death on a phone. If you're affected, this is what you should look for: a split-second blue screen, followed by a restart, which means you get a black screen and then a blue, little white Apple logo. Seems to be happening mostly to T-Mobile customers in the last couple of days. iPhone 6, 6 Plus, 5S. Restarts happen at 10 to 30-minute intervals. This is a software bug, isn't it? Apparently, although it's early yet, it's the Wi-Fi calling, and that's why it's happening to T-Mobile. You know, T-Mobile has this feature that when you're at home or you're on a good Wi-Fi network, the phone will use Wi-Fi, not cell for calls, which really only benefits T-Mobile, I guess. But it's not like they give you a rebate on your bill. But if you disable Wi-Fi calling, apparently that fixes the problem. So T-Mobile must have pushed bad code or whatever. But it's just funny because you don't expect things to crash so much anymore. But this is how it used to be all the time. Stuff would crash right and left. Now we kind of, if your phone starts crashing, that's like a big deal. I think iPhones actually are a little prone to what we call respringing. You know what that is? If you have an iPhone, the user interface, on a Mac it'd be called the Finder. On Windows it'd be called Explorer. It's the user interface, the thing that shows the icons and lets you launch stuff. On an iPhone it's called a springboard. And sometimes what people think is a crash on the iPhone is not a crash. The phone's not rebooting. Springboard is. So we call it a respring. And you know because it's fast. It's fairly fast. You still see the little white apple. Screen goes blank. You see the little white apple. It looks like a reboot. But the whole thing happens in 15, 20 seconds. A reboot, like from scratch on an iPhone would be a few minutes. But I think we are seeing more of those on the iPhone than before. Which is more reliable for you? Are you an Android user? iPhone user? You know what has been very reliable for me? Windows Phone. Never crash. As far as I can tell, it never crashes. It's been very reliable. Of course, now they're doing a beta of the next version of Windows Phone, Windows Phone 10. That thing crashes like all the time. In fact, that's hardly usable. Don't recommend that one. But I think this is, in general, this is a good trend. We expect more. We expect our stuff to be more reliable to the point now where it's kind of surprising when it crashes. Does your TV ever crash? My washing machine crashed. I didn't know it was crashing. It wasn't getting the dishes clean. We need to, maybe on these appliances that are really now just computers, we need to put we need to make a blue screen of death. We need to have a little display on there that says, rebooting. Your microwave is rebooting. I wish I'd known that was what was wrong with the dishwasher. Isn't that? It's kind of like a car now. You cannot. I used to be a shade tree mechanic. You get under the car, you change the oil, gets oil in your eye. When you remove the lug nut. I even had a little voltmeter. I could do the timing on the belt, tune up the car, the spark plugs and everything. So, I remember doing that on my old V-Dub. You can't do that now. I don't think cars even get tuned up anymore, do they? They just go forever. No tune-up necessary. The whole thing's running on a computer. And by the way, you can't get that computer. You have to go to a dealer. John Deere's, that was a big deal with John Deere, the tractor company. These tractors, these big farm implements, these combines, they cost $500,000, $1 million. They're very expensive. And John Deere says, you don't actually own that. You're renting it from us. And by the way, you better not try to fix it. It is illegal. It is illegal to hook up a computer to your John Deere tractor. No user serviceable parts inside. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I guess our cars are more reliable. You don't ever have to tune them up anymore. That's pretty cool. I kind of like getting under the car. I guess you can still change your oil. Somebody's got to change the oil. Computer can't change your oil for you. You haven't gotten that far. I guess I could still change my oil. Don't put it down the sewer, though, okay? Recycle responsibly. That's another thing. Do you recycle your batteries from your flashlights and stuff? Yeah, but you can't just put them in the recycle bin. You can't throw them out. Those things are toxic. You got to do electronics recycling. I have a box in my pantry for dead batteries. We just put them all there. Once a year, I take them over to the electronics recycling place. You should be doing the same thing. TVs, old computers, you don't throw those out. How did I get onto that? I don't know. Let's talk rebooting, respringing, changing your oil, and fixing your dishwasher. Anything with a chip in it. I'm Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Your calls are next. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, taking your calls, talking high tech. And we got Cynthia on the line from Malibu. Hi, Cynthia.
Hey, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it.
My pleasure. What's up?
So, I have DSL Extreme, and we have a modem connected to Airport, and I have a PS3. So basically, I downloaded the app from the PS3 store for HBO, and it worked for a while, and now it just keeps buffering, and I get an error message, and it won't play anything. It'll show you, like, the menu, and you can choose a movie, but as soon as you try to play, nothing. And I searched the internet, and people say, delete the app and
That's what I would have said, is try reinstalling it. Yeah.
Yeah, I did that already.
Didn't help.
No, I mean, I got to watch a couple of episodes of, like, a really old show.
It worked at first, and then it stopped working again?
Yeah, it does. It intermittently works for, like, a little bit. Like, I mean, I'm wondering if it's something to do with how the bandwidth is on certain programs.
I think that's probably it. You're using HBO Go.
Yes.
So you have to sign in with your cable company and validate that you actually pay for HBO on your cable subscription.
Yeah.
But the real problem is now then you're streaming it down DSL Extreme, and if which level, what tier of DSL service do you have from them? Because their least expensive one doesn't give you a lot of bandwidth.
Yeah, Malibu, we don't have much.
You don't have much choice, exactly.
No, it's like 3 or whatever.
I think that's the problem.
Well, I get Netflix, no problem.
Really?
And it streams perfectly. And my husband's absolutely not interested in helping me solve this problem, so I'm kind of on my own here.
Do you have any other devices that stream? Maybe a Roku box, an Apple TV, something else that you could use to try?
We have a TiVo, but you can't stream off of the TiVo.
Yeah.
I mean, I have Mac laptop, but I don't have.
Well, try. Yeah, okay, that's one way to do it. You can log into HBO and watch it on your Mac laptop. What we want to see is if you do have enough bandwidth to watch HBO, then it's something wrong with the PS3.
You think it's a PS3 and not maybe the router? Because I heard you just talk to somebody.
Well, it could be. Are you connected wirelessly or wired?
We're wireless.
So that's another thing you can do is to connect to see if you connect it via a cable to your router. The problem is your TV is not anywhere near your router, probably.
Not that far away.
Ah, good. Get a long Ethernet cable, plug it into the router and the PS3.
I guess I can move the router too, right?
That will almost certainly improve things.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. Wi-Fi slows things down a little bit. Now, if you have a ton of bandwidth, it's not a problem, but you're on the edge. 3 megabits is kind of on the edge. Also, make sure you're not uploading anything. Sometimes people don't think that upload is connected to download, but it is. So it's
I shut off even my Bluetooth. I mean, I've shut off. I'm like,
nothing.
Shut the phones down. You know, I want to watch the show.
I'm almost certain. I'm almost certain it'll work fine if you connect via Ethernet. It's the Wi-Fi that's probably the problem. There may be a neighbor that has Wi-Fi as well. Do you see a number of different Wi-Fi access parts?
Nah, we're kind of rural, so
that's good. A lot of us who live in urban settings, we might have 20 or 30 Wi-Fi access points show up on our Wi-Fi. And that kind of congestion can cause a nightmare. I mean, it really can be a problem. But if you don't see a lot of other Wi-Fi, that's not going to be the problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because if you search on the internet, people have this problem with the PS3 and there's like, a weird error code and everybody says, you can either hit back or ignore.
Yeah, it's possible. Remember, this is the older PlayStation.
Yeah.
And it may be its Wi-Fi isn't great. Try the Ethernet. If that works, that's always going to give you, at least 25, 30% better performance than wireless.
Okay.
So that's the first thing I would do. Sure.
Another question?
Sure, Cynthia.
This helicopter goes by.
Do you get a lot of helicopters? You're on the beach, obviously.
Yeah, and I got stuck. There was an accident on PCH, so I took like a dirt road, and I lost you, and then I had to try to get back online. So,
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, do you live there, or you're just you're driving by?
I live here.
Oh, okay.
But I went to school in Petaluma, so I know.
No
you're
kidding.
Next to the wood. Yeah, and I've listened to you for years and years. I used to sit in my car.
Now, don't take this wrong, but it sounds like you kind of have a Chicago or a Mid-Atlantic accent.
Yeah, I'm from New Jersey originally.
New Jersey, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what happened is I plugged in my phone into my laptop, and I used a new cable that my husband had, and my laptop just died. So I researched the internet.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I took
When you say died, like you can't start it?
No. So supposedly, if you don't use an Apple USB cable and you plug your phone into your laptop, if it's not an Apple, not even OEM compatible, I mean, it's got to be Apple, it shuts down your Mac.
No.
Swear to God.
No.
Yeah,
No.
I took the battery out.
No. USB's normal, but you know what? You could have had a bad USB cable or a shorted.
It was brand new.
Yeah, but it could have been shorted like it was defective. That's not good. So you plugged a USB cable into your Mac to charge your phone.
Yep.
The Mac, what did it make a noise?
No, it just shut down.
It went to dark screen and you can't turn it back on.
Nothing. So anyhow, I did get it to come back on because and I tell you, I searched the internet again. I had to get a tweezer, take the battery out with the screwdriver, the whole deal. Got it back in and it's working. But now it's saying battery needs service.
That's what's wrong. So,
it's saying it now.
So, how old is that laptop?
It's only like 3 years old.
Yeah, well, so all lithium-ion batteries, no matter what they're in, your phone, your laptop, whatever, have a certain number of charge cycles. That is, a certain number of times they can be fully discharged and fully recharged.
It says 497. I looked.
Yeah.
I thought they were supposed to go for 1,000.
No, 500.
All right. I'm dead, huh?
Yep, it says 490. You've had 497 charge cycles. It's dead. It's right. He said it's about 500. It does vary, but on that, it's about 500. It's kind of funny that it says 497. Yeah, that's what happened. It was just a coincidence. It has nothing to do with the cable. Your battery it's a dead battery. It's kicked the bucket.
It's charging and everything's fine now.
Now, by the way, if you take the battery out and keep the thing plugged in, usually the laptop will continue to work. But if you keep a dead battery in there, for some reason, it means the laptop. So take the battery out. And then you have time. You can't unplug the laptop, obviously. You got to keep it plugged in. But
but this is like a new MacBook. You can't just pop the battery out.
Oh, you got to open it up.
It out and the whole deal.
Yeah.
I'm not the only one this has happened.
Well, it happens to everybody after 500 charge cycles. So you have to bring it to the Apple Store, and it's $90, I think. You get a new battery.
Okay. All right, I'm just going to do that. I don't want to risk anything.
No, you need a new one. If it's got you came right up to the edge though. That's good. You got 497 cycles right there, right like that.
Well, it's working fine now, and it's charging. And
it'll die soon. It'll die again.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. It should just say replace then. Why does it say service?
Well, that's what service in Apple's terms. That's what service is.
No, there's 3 different options.
No, you need a new battery. I mean, because they're not sure that it's the battery. Maybe the connections are bad or something. But no, you need a new battery.
That's true. I don't want anything to blow up on this thing. Okay.
It won't blow up. It's giving up the ghost. Hey, thanks for the call. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Let's go to the phones. A lovely day. Time to talk to you about your computer woes. Gail is on the line from Covina. Hi, Gail.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I am good. I just have kind of a simple question. All of a sudden, I'm paying attention to the little flags and notices about Windows 10 on my computer.
Good.
Now, I've got kind of 2 questions.
Yeah.
One, if I've kind of learned to love 8.1, do you think, I've heard you say things over the weeks. Do you think it's a good idea to go ahead? Because I've heard it's not going to,
it changes things.
Going to work.
I'll tell you what's going to change so you know whether you want to do it or not.
Okay.
And by the way, I never learned to love Windows 8.1, but I did learn to tolerate it.
Well, maybe.
But there are some things going away. For instance, the charms bar. You know, that's when you
Yes.
swipe from the right side, you get that little bar. And the charms bar has a search, has a share, a start, devices and settings. That's a little menu there. Microsoft thought that would be a good idea. The problem is no one else could find it. But if you love the charms bar, bad news, that's gone.
Okay.
But they replaced it with something I think is much more useful, a notification center that has the same capabilities. In fact, you can add other icons to the bottom part. It'll also show you notifications. I think they've done that. Actually, that's a big improvement. So I like that.
Okay.
The other thing that's changed is the Windows menu, the Start menu. A lot of people complained when Microsoft took the Start menu away in Windows 8. So what they decided to do instead was put that button back that's in the lower left-hand corner of your computer. And if you tap it, you get the weirdest hybrid of a menu, Start menu, and tiles. There's actually tiles on the Smart menu. So now, you know, Windows 8, you're used to pressing the Start button, and it brings you to that tile page, and then you can go back and forth. In this case, it's going to pop up a Start menu that is kind of reminiscent of, it's a hybrid, really, of Windows 8's tile menu and the Windows 7 Start menu.
Okay.
Now, I'm not crazy about that, but I don't think it's bad. The problem is going to be as you add more and more tiles, that menu is going to end up looking kind of crazy, like it's both a Start screen and a Start menu. I don't know how we're going to handle that. Okay. And then the one more thing that's going to be a big change, you know, these full screen applications that you get in the Windows Store, they used to call them Metro, now they call it the Modern UI. So, for instance, you have two browsers on Windows 8. You have Internet Explorer for the desktop, which is just like your old Internet Explorer, and this new one that takes up the whole screen. It's got a menu, the address windows in the bottom. OneNote has the same thing. There's two versions of OneNote, a Metro full screen version and a desktop version. In Windows 10, all applications are windowed like they used to be in Windows 7. The full screen applications are now in a window. You can make them go full screen, but they're not normally in just a regular window. And you can shuffle windows one on top of the other and all of that.
Right.
All of these are kind of concession to people from Windows 7 who said, well, wait a minute, I like the desktop. I like Windows. And so the way they've kind of handled it in Windows 10 is if you have a convertible, one of those laptops like the Surface where you can detach the keyboard and it becomes a tablet, it will then offer to go in tablet mode, which is very much like Windows 8. You could actually run Windows 10 in tablet mode, and it would be very similar to what you're used to in Windows 8.
Okay, one more question.
Sure.
If is it automatically going to download it? Am I going to not have any, say in the matter, or is it, like when it does updates and things like that? Will it automatically?
It will never automatically download it.
Okay.
Ever. So you'll have to say, yes, I agree. I want to go to Windows 10. Are you getting that little flag in your system tray, the little white flat window? Okay, yeah. And you can click that and say, I accept the invitation. Like, yes, I want it, because it's a free upgrade for you and anybody using Windows 7 or 8. Right. And you can cancel that at any time, because that little icon isn't going to go away. If you tap it again, you can actually look at your reservation, cancel your reservation. And even, I believe, although we don't know, even after it downloads Windows 10, before it installs it, I'm sure it's going to say, now, you sure you want to install Windows 10? Some things will change. For instance, it will uninstall Windows Media Center. So if you use that, you're going to want to say, whoa, hold on there. Because Windows Media Center does not work in Windows 10. But what Microsoft found is very few people use it. So they just said, well, we're going to get rid of it. They haven't updated it since 2009. The other thing that might concern you a little bit more, many of the games like Solitaire, Spider Solitaire, Minesweeper, those are going away. You'll be able to re-download them, but they will be uninstalled. And Candy Crush Saga is the new game.
Oh.
I don't like that. I'm told, I don't know if this is true. We don't really know yet, right, because it hasn't happened. But I'm told that it will not download the entire large file for Candy Crush Saga, but it's just a little... I hope not. You click it and it'll say, hey, you want to install it? And you say no. Go away. I don't want to install it. I got a life.
Okay.
But other than that, I think it's not going to be a big disruptive change.
All right. That sounds good. That's
Good. I'm so glad you asked.
To know.
I think everybody needs to know this. Microsoft, it's not clear, and so I'm really glad you called, Gail. I'm glad we could clarify that.
All right. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thanks for calling.
Bye-bye.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Michael is on the line from Gadsden, Alabama. Hey, Michael. Leo Laporte here.
Hello, Leo. I really appreciate your program. Been listening to you about 5 years.
Thank you.
I'm a truck driver listening on the iHeart app most of the time.
That's nice. Thank you. Thanks for the plug. iHeartRadio. We love it.
Yes, very good. And I'm got a small business, and I'm trying to do better on the internet. Search engine optimization. There must be 10 billion listings of somebody that's going to help you do better.
And it's mostly snake oil.
Well, that's kind of what my opinion has been, and I just call the expert here because I know you do very well, and you know everything technical, and you make it simple, and that's what I like about it.
If you ask Google, they say the only way to optimize for Google, and that's what this is about, right, is coming in higher in the Google search rankings.
Right.
They'll say the only way to optimize is to put the best content you can out, keep it fresh, update it all the time. That's the way to optimize it. Now, of course, there's more to it than that. On the other hand,
I've got a home-based business. I would love to come up if somebody searched home-based business.
Okay.
Yeah. But, how do you?
It's hard to control for that, but there are some things you can do. Most of the snake oil in SEO is the guy who says, I can make your site #1 in the search.
Yes.
He can't. In fact, there's a risk because some of these SEO guys get pretty aggressive in their techniques. There are known techniques that you can use to try to boost your ranking. But in most cases, Google will suss it out and could penalize you. They don't penalize the SEO, but they could go do anything from down ranking you to removing you from their search index entirely. That is not the result you want.
Exactly.
So be very careful about these SEO guys. They often overpromise, underdeliver, and there's even a bigger risk they could get you penalized. Here's what I suggest. Google has a really great series of videos and information. They call it their webmaster tools, and this is Google SEO from the source. And there are certainly things you can do to improve your ranking, but do what Google says, and that's google.com/webmaster. There's some great videos. Matt Cutts, my friend Matt Cutts, made a ton of them, in which he says, do this, that's good. Don't do that, that's bad. It's a good idea to check it out. There are some things we know about Google that you could probably improve. For instance, Google pays attention to the first 1,500 words on your website, so make sure those are germane. For instance, you want home-based business to show up. Make sure the name of the page says home-based business, that there is in the text of the page in the first 1,500 words, the words home-based business. Meta tags, all that stuff, that doesn't do anything. The content of your site is what makes a difference. But go look at google.com/webmaster. Those are great tools. They've done a good job there. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls right after this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Let's go to Old Geek in the Bronx. Hi, Old Geek.
Hi, Leo.
How old is Old Geek?
Like my good friend the Gizwiz said, he was told ever to give away his age.
Yeah.
When
yeah, but he doesn't bill himself as the old Gizwiz. All right, we'll take it as written. You are old, my friend.
So my question is,
yes,
when my fax machine and
wait a minute, I don't do fax machine questions.
Same line.
Okay, yeah.
How many rings should I set each one in order to pick up? So, for example, if I have the answering machine set for 3 rings, it will pick up if the fax machine is set for 4 rings. But if it's a fax coming through, it will not be picked up. It'll go to the answering machine.
And then you get... Yeah, you don't beep, beep. You don't want that.
No.
That's an interesting question. I haven't had that question in about 20 years.
Yeah, right?
Nobody uses fax machines anymore. Nobody even uses answering machines anymore. Let's see. So one line, two devices. You can set them both on how many rings they pick up. The problem is if somebody's calling and wants to talk to the old geek in the Bronx, and the fax machine picks up after one ring, all that person's going to get is beep, beep. That's not what you want.
Right.
So the problem is you can't distinguish. You don't know if the person calling is a person or a machine.
Right.
Now, some fax machines have, and apparently not yours, have a pass-through. You would connect the answering machine to the fax machine. The fax machine would pick up, listen for the tone. If it doesn't hear it, it would pass it along to the answering machine.
No, I don't believe this
I
one.
think you don't have that kind of thing.
Right.
I think.
Now, is it possible to set them both to the same number of rings?
No.
And the voice, the outgoing message, say,
I don't-
you're a person, wait for the beep.
I don't think there's any solution to this. I think you've got in the technology terms they call this a race condition, and I don't think there is an answer to this race. So there are solutions.
Yeah.
They used to sell boxes for this that would say do what I was just saying the fax machine could do, which listen for a tone. If it doesn't hear it, say, "Oh, it must be a human." And in fact, it used to work the other way. The answering machine would listen for a human. If it heard the tone and say, "Oh, it's for you," and give it to the fax machine. However, nowadays, most people don't have either. So maybe it's time for the old geek to get some modern technology. One thing you could do is call your phone company and say, "I'd like voicemail." And in fact, they own the answering machine. That would be one solution. Another solution would be to get do you have a computer?
Yeah, sure.
You could have your computer be the fax machine, and most people do this now. They use, I use eFax. We have Ring Central. When I have to send a fax, I send it right from the computer. Basically, I upload it to eFax, and they send it as a fax. They also will give me a dedicated fax number that's not really a fax number, but you don't tell anybody that. And when somebody sends me a fax, I get it as email. So that's what I would look at. Let your voice line be a voice line. And then the fax machine can be a virtual. You can scrap the physical fax and use digital technology. That way you'll get the faxes in your email. The only time that becomes a problem is if you have a piece of paper you want to fax. Do you do that a lot?
Occasionally, yeah, but
that makes it more complicated. You can fax anything that's on your computer, but if you have a piece of paper you want to fax, you'd have to scan it in via a scanner before you send it.
And then, I might as well attach it or put it in line in an email. But does Google Voice allow you to send fax?
Oh, no.
No. Okay.
But Google Voice would take over from your answering machine.
Yeah.
So here's another thing you can do. Actually, that's clever. Now you're talking. Set up a free Google Voice number. It's going to be a different number.
Right.
And have people call that number when they want to talk to you. Then your computer will ring. You could actually answer the call on your computer when somebody wants a voice call. And if they don't get you, they'll leave a voicemail on Google Voice, which you can pick up later.
Yeah, they'll even send me a transcript.
They send you a bad transcript. It's but it's enough to kind of know, oh, that must, gee, who is that? Oh, that must be, because the transcripts are always a little strange. I get them. But, and then you can listen to the voicemail in your email. Yeah. No, I think Google Voice might be a good solution for you, too. You'd have to give people a new phone number. That's the only problem.
Yeah. Well, I don't deal with that many, so it's doable. All right. Thank you so much.
Hey, it's great to talk to you. Call me again. I like talking to you.
All right.
All right? See ya.
Right.
Old geek. Old geek in the Bronx. They still have fax machines. You know, occasionally you'll do business with a realtor or something. They'll say, we need to send you a fax. And it's like, what? What century are we in? I have a telegraph for you. Telegraph. Call for Philip Morris. Ron is next. He's on the line from Mountain View. Hi, Ron.
Hi, Leo. I've got Windows 7 Professional, and I don't have the Windows 10 icon.
Hold on a second. We're going to take a break, talk about one of our fine sponsors, and we'll solve this problem. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. All right, we are back talking with Ron in Mountain View. He has Windows 7. He's excited about Windows 10. July 29th, we're all going to get a new version of Windows for free. Anybody using 7 or 8. Now, you're feeling a little left out, aren't you? Because everybody you hear from, including me, is saying, oh, you got that little white Windows icon down there in your system tray? And you didn't get it.
I'm just really feeling left out.
Have you run Windows Update lately?
Yeah, I just ran it.
And it's complete.
Yeah.
You know, we've been wondering, and again, Microsoft not been clear about any of this stuff. We've been wondering who gets this and who doesn't. Let's put it this way. You will get it. Don't feel left out. You've got another month. You will get it. And even if you don't, there will be a way to go to Microsoft.com and download Windows 10. For some reason, not everybody got it. And I'm not sure, because they're not making it clear. I'm not sure why some people get it and some people don't. Everybody I know, how about the chat room? Did all of you, all Windows 7 and 8 users, you all get that? Would you like to reserve Windows 10 now? It's not like you have to do it, Rich. You're going to get it. Ron, I mean, you're going to get it one way or the other.
Okay.
So somebody in our chat room says, yeah, I have it on one computer, not the other. We can't really figure it out. Some people are saying, oh, it's an optional update, and then others are saying, no, it's not. So I don't know what it is.
It should be compatible with this computer because it's a recent machine. It's a Lenovo.
Almost everybody who can run Windows 7 or later will be able to run Windows 10.
Okay.
But I haven't been able to figure out the rhyme or reason behind who gets that weird little pop-up and who doesn't. I just don't know. And I'm seeing, and now actually having asked the chat room, I'm seeing quite a few people in the chat room who didn't get it. So, something going on.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know what the rule is. Microsoft's not telling the Enterprise window. You're not using Windows Enterprise, right? Using what version?
Windows 7 Professional.
Yeah, you should get it.
It's the one that came with this laptop.
Yeah. You should get it on any Windows 7 home or professional machine. And but you know what? You don't have to get. That's just an ad. I don't think you have to have the icon. I think you'll get it whether you want it or not. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I wouldn't feel left out. Let's put it that way. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Back to the phones we go. And Aaron has been hanging on for the longest darn time. Thank you for your patience, Aaron, in Los Angeles. Leo Laporte.
No problem. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for calling. What can I do for you?
I have a Gmail account that I have been using, I think, for about 10 years.
It's pretty much the total time Gmail's been around.
Right. I think I was an early adopter.
Yeah.
And
remember you had to get an invitation?
I think I signed up for one very early on, if I recall correctly.
I did too. Right away, I jumped on it, and boy, it's been my email ever since.
Right. So the issue I have, I actually use it for business a little bit as well. And obviously, recent years, people are using email a lot more and sending bigger and bigger attachments.
Yeah.
So the size of my total account, has been ballooning.
They used to say, in fact, the whole pitch of Gmail was never delete your email. We're always going to give you more and more and more. And remember, they used to have a little counter on there, would say how much storage. Oh, you got 7 gigabytes. You got 8 gigabytes.
Right. So now I think a few years ago, I actually sprung for some extra storage, and now I think I have like 30 gigs total. Yeah. And I'm getting close to, exceeding that. And I like the idea of not deleting anything and keeping everything for the archive. But I'm wary of the idea of adding more and more, monthly and yearly costs to my storage.
Yeah.
So I'm just my question is, I wonder if you have any ideas for backing up old emails or large emails to like a local drive somewhere.
Well, any email client can be used to do this. I mean, that's what email clients do, right? They download the mail onto your computer. Google uses something kind of like IMAP. So you'd set up a mail client. Could be Outlook, could be Thunderbird, probably my choice. It's free. It's from Mozilla. And reason I like it, besides the fact that it's free, it uses a standard format for mailboxes. It's actually the mailbox format, MBX. And those messages are actually stored in plain text. So even, the problem with Outlook is it'll store it as a PST file, and you need Outlook to read it. But when you save mail via Thunderbird, you log into your Google account and you just download everything via Thunderbird. And by the way, Google will rate limit you, so you can't do it all at once. You'll have to be over a period of time. Don't assume you got it all before you delete. Make sure you got it all. Because what they do is after you download a gig or something for a day, they say, "Oh, we're going to put you on a little hold there until tomorrow."
Got it. So I should just keep Thunderbird open for a week or two or something. And
you'll know when you got it all. Yeah, and then you look, and it's there. And now it's stored on your hard drive in MBX files. You could zip those up. They compact very well because it's plain text. Put it on an external drive, and you've got them.
Okay, and then I can go back and open them up and search them, but I don't have to keep them in my online account from say, 2005 to 2008. I could get rid of.
Now, the good news is Google's pretty inexpensive for storage. You get 15 gigs for free, and then for 100 gigs, it's $2 a month.
Is that it? Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap. So you could do this. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I love having all my email searchable by Google because then I don't have to remember people's names, addresses, phone numbers, birth dates, what we talked about 10 years ago. I can just search my email. And I do that all the time. I have terrible memory, so I'm always searching my email. So yeah, $2 a month, $24 a year for 100 gigs. I doubt you'd fill up 100 gigs of email.
Right. I don't think I realized it was.
Well, they dropped it. It used to be more expensive, but they dropped it, and they'll continue to drop it. And you know what? In a year or two, I bet you it's free.
Yeah.
They're doing it for photos for free.
Right.
Hard drive storage is so cheap now that they're practically giving it away.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll look into that option again as well, and maybe I'll save myself some time here.
I bought a Chromebook, I think, and I got a terabyte, I think, for free for a year, so I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
I store everything there. Hey, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. If you haven't yet decided who you want to do your email, I tell you, I think Gmail is amazing. The searching, and by the way, the best anti-spam of anybody out there, because their spam filters what we call collaborative. And you probably noticed when you get spam, very rarely happens, but when you do, you can press a button on your Gmail interface that says this is spam. Well, what Google does is they see how many people said a particular. Remember, they're delivering email to millions and millions of people. So that message that you got has probably also gone to 100,000 other Gmail users. If, say, I don't know what the actual numbers are, but let's say 1,000 of them say that's spam, Google has a pretty strong certainty it is, and they'll just block it for the rest of you. And that collaborative filtering works better than anything I've seen. It's really effective. So given that it's free, it's a great email service. The only reason people, I guess, avoid Google Mail is because they don't like the idea of Google indexing their email so that they can pop up ads that are relevant to your emails. I don't have a problem with that. It's not like a human being is reading your email going, "Oh, that Leo, you're up to no good again, Leo." No, it's some computer looking for keywords and then trying to match them to an ad. Doesn't do a very good job. Doesn't bother me. And given what you get for free, I think it's worth it. Let's see. Let's move on. Brian is on the line from Charlestown, Indiana. Hi, Brian. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello. Oh, thank you for taking my call.
Thanks for hanging on for so darn long. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, my problem is every time, I'm a very dedicated listener. I watch you live.
Thank you.
I watch your live feed every day. As soon as I come in from work, I'll turn you on.
Wow. Well, we do about 8 to 10 hours of programming a day at live.twit.tv, so it's almost like a television network, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll watch you.
Thank you.
All day long. And the problem is, the past couple of weeks, every time I try to turn on the network, it dies on me for some reason.
You start watching twit.tv.
Yeah.
You're playing along, and then what happens? It just stops?
Yeah, the internet cuts out on me.
Oh, now, does the whole internet cut out? So, you can't surf either?
No.
Ah.
Can't do nothing.
My guess, believe it or not, my guess on that is you're overheating your router.
The router.
What? He's saying, that's not possible.
Right.
Well, actually, your router is a admittedly cheap computer. It has a processor, it has memory, it has firmware, that's the operating system. And all those bits going through that copper can actually get it pretty hot. Go feel your router to see if it's warm, especially if you're streaming media. That's basically a continuous download. So one thing to check out is your router. Feel it, see if it's hot. If the router's kind of old, it might just be wearing.
Okay. Well, I replaced my modem.
And that's the other thing it could be. The modem is like the router. It's doing some conversion of is it a cable modem?
Yeah.
So the data's coming in on the copper, on the cable. You plug that into the back of the cable modem. It converts it into bits and then goes out the back via Ethernet. Yeah, that's a processor. That's a program. That could overheat too. And overheating is what would eventually have it die. I would look at, so you replaced the cable modem and that didn't fix it.
Why?
I would look at your router. I know.
I love that router.
Well, one way to figure it out, first of all, feel it, see if it's hot. The other way is unplug it. When your data stops, next time your data stops, go over to the router, unplug it, wait 10 seconds, plug it back in. If the internet comes back, I got bad news for you. It's the router.
Okay.
All right, and that would be my best guess because that's, this is not uncommon. Routers are so cheap. They're basically a commodity product. They're like pork bellies and soybeans. And maybe get a better one next time. 8888 Ask Leo. I am Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hang in there. More of your calls coming up right after this. We'll have more of the Tech Guy Show. Our podcast today brought to you by those great folks at Credit Karma. I was so thrilled when I discovered this. And maybe like me, you've heard your friends or colleagues talking about it. That's how I found out about it. People who were talking around Twitter about Credit Karma. And somebody said, you got to sign up for this. It's free. And it lets you keep track of the most important number in your life. Not your age or your weight or your IQ. Your credit score, a number that has a huge impact on your finances, on what you might pay for credit card interest, whether you can get a credit card, get a car loan, buy a new house. It's huge, your credit score, and it's crucial not only to find out what it is now, but to keep an eye on it, to monitor it. And that's what Credit Karma does so well for free. They offer free credit scores, reports, free monitoring, along with handy financial tools to help you make sense of your credit. It is great. And this is not a teaser. This is their business. They do it for free, and you've got to take advantage of this because I'll tell you, knowing that crucial number and whether it's going up, that's good, or down, that's bad, can make a huge difference in your financial life. I went to Credit Karma, found out that my score was lower than I thought it should be, and then I looked at the different things that were affecting the score, and I saw that I still had a credit card I hadn't paid or used or looked at for years. I called the credit card company, made sure it was paid off, got rid of it. That was awesome. Credit Karma, I wouldn't have known it without you. Thank you, Credit Karma. To download the free Credit Karma app for your smartphone, text TWIT to 89800. That's a short code. TWIT, T-W-I-T, to 89800. You'll get started right away, getting suggestions to help you manage and monitor your credit, be alerted when your credit score changes. That's why you want it on the phone. You'll get that notification right away. And you make sure you take advantage of the financial tools they have, calculating things like home affordability, debt repayment, amortization for loans, that kind of thing. And a great archive of articles there to help you understand your credit, build your financial health. They're really there to help you, and I love that. CreditKarma.com. Find out what your credit score is today, and manage and monitor your credit for free. No credit card required because it's free. Download their free app and be sure to text TWIT to 89800. Monitor your credit on the go. And we thank Credit Karma for their support of the Tech Guy podcast, to which we return forthwith. I am Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Back to the phones we go. Heather Hammond's lined up a bunch of good callers for us, starting with Matthew in Lorton, Virginia. Hi, Matthew.
Hey, Leo. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Good. What's up?
Nothing much. School's still here.
Yeah. Oh, you're still in school?
Yeah.
Now, what grade are you in? What grade are you in?
Sixth.
Oh, so this is a big deal. Going to middle school next year?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. For sixth grade, do they have a graduation ceremony?
Yeah, we do.
Cool. And what do you, let me guess. Okay, I'm just going to guess. I'm just kind of out of nowhere. Do you play Minecraft?
Of course I do.
Does every sixth grader play Minecraft?
I guess so.
I guess so. My sixth grader plays Minecraft. It's just like the game.
Yeah.
What do you like to do? Do you like to build things? Do you like to do cooperative play? What do you do?
I go on servers and, I play Hunger Games and stuff like that.
Fun. So what can I do to help you?
Yeah, I called on episode 1193.
I'm glad you're keeping track.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think you remember I'm the one with the iMessage issue.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
I do remember that. This was Apple. By the way, the same thing happened with Skype shortly after you called. If you sent a very unusual message, nothing anybody would accidentally send, that included characters from several different languages, all non-Roman, not A through C, but unusual character sets, you could crash iMessages. And then I think we talked about the fix, which was to use Siri to delete that offending message, and then from now on, turn off iMessages on your lock screen. You did all that?
Yeah, I did, but it's still not working.
People are still bugging you.
Yeah, and I can't believe Apple didn't put out an update yet.
Well, the problem is here we are, June 28th, and I'm sure they've put out an update by now.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're recording ahead.
Yeah.
So I have a little problem on this one because while I'm not sure, I'm hoping that by 21 days from now, they will have fixed it. But maybe they haven't. They took them a long time to fix it, didn't they?
Yeah.
You know what I find odd? It took Microsoft less than a day to fix the Skype problem. It took Apple a lot longer. The question is why. Now, it may be that the Apple problem was, at a different place in the operating system, more deeply ingrained. In fact, I know it was. The Skype problem was limited to Skype, which means all they had to do was fix Skype. Apple says that the problem was with core text, which is the routine that on an iPhone interprets and displays text. And that's more than just messages. That's throughout the whole system. So I think the problem is it's hard to fix. A lot harder to fix than Skype was. But it does make you wonder. I mean, this is a terrible flaw. And the longer they took to fix it, the more likely some bad guy'd come along and take advantage of it. To my knowledge, that did not happen. But it is something of legitimate concern. So, fix it. As soon as Apple offers a patch, you want to patch that. That's not something to mess around with. Meanwhile, I feel your pain because you are the target for this stuff because your buddies love to give you a hard time. And I think every middle schooler in America suffered from this ridiculous flaw. If you sent that weird, and by the way, easy to find the string. You just did a search on Google and you'd find lots of articles showing the string. The text. I call it a string. I realize that's kind of an unusual word, isn't it? It's what programmers call a length of text is a string. Does that, Heather, if I say string, does that mean anything to you at all?
Yeah, like a thread?
No. It's what we, sometimes this stuff leaks through. I forget, that I can't use geek language. So this was 8 or 9 characters. A piece of text, we call that a string. I shouldn't say string. It's a piece of text, a phrase, some characters. Anyway, Shame on Apple for taking so long to fix it, I guess. Jim in Houston, Texas. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Jim.
Hey.
Hey.
How you doing, Leo?
I'm good. What's up?
I spoke to you a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And what I was asking you about was whether I should run in standard or administrator mode.
Oh, yes.
And I got ready to do that, and I got set up and started doing it, and I started to set up the administrator account, and it asked me for a Microsoft account. And I already
So you're using Windows 8?
Yes, I'm using 8.1.
Yeah, both Apple and Microsoft are starting to do this, and it kind of, I understand why, but it kind of bugs me too. They would like you to use your Apple account or your Microsoft account to log in.
Yes.
You can set up Windows 8 without it, but they don't like it much. And in this case, they're going, okay, come on, you must have one. Give us your Microsoft account.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was wondering. Does the administrator account need a Microsoft account?
No. Windows 10, I think they've said you will have to use a Microsoft account.
Okay. Well, am I going to need multiple accounts, or can I continue to use just the same account?
You mean for right now?
Well, like for the standard user, does he need an account?
Yeah, you need 2 accounts. You need 1 account for a standard user and 1 account for administrative.
So they need separate accounts?
Yeah, so you mean Microsoft accounts?
Yeah, separate.
Oh, yeah, I don't think you have to make a Microsoft account. Does it say you have to make one?
Well, that's what I was kind of asking you. Does it make any difference if I log on as the administrator? Can I?
No, that's a good question.
I don't
even know the answer to that. So, Windows 8, you can just as we used to do with Windows, just have a login and password that is not associated with a Microsoft account. You almost always want to, because your Microsoft account has all the information about your Twitter and your Facebook and all that stuff, and it has your picture, and it has all your stuff, your OneDrive log. So if you log in with your Microsoft account on Windows 8, it kind of sets itself up. It even remembers what apps you have installed and reinstalls them. So this is good. I like this question, and maybe the chat room will know this. Question 1: if I have 2 accounts on my machine, one administrator, one standard, can they use the same Microsoft account? That's question 1. Now, I don't think currently you will have to in Windows 10, but currently you can, I think, go the old route, just the name and login and password account, and so that would mean you don't need to solve this. But that's okay. Let me see. Create a Microsoft account, but go in and turn on the local administrator account under Manage. Okay, so this is another way of doing it from Chris S. 1563 in our chat room. He says you can also go to Manage in the Accounts control panel and turn on. There always is an administrator account. Turn on a local administrator account, and that won't need a Microsoft account. So that's another way to do it. I don't think you should have to make 2 separate Microsoft accounts. That's kooky.
Okay, that's what I was after. I didn't want to just create a bunch of multiple.
Well, that's a great question. You know, I could just try this for you, because I like to use my Microsoft account for the account that I use all the time, because then, as I said, it knows all my information. That's a really good question. I don't know what the answer is. Tell you what, I'll try this in the break. How about that?
Okay.
Hey, thanks for the call, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That's a good question. I don't know. Yeah, Lawn Dogs, who's our resident Windows expert, says, yeah, you can just use 1 Microsoft account for both standard and administrator. But how would you distinguish between one and the other?
Leo, are you still there?
Yeah.
Are you exposing yourself? If somebody were to get into your account, because they might have access to what your Microsoft account.
Yeah, they do, don't they?
Yeah.
So what I've done, and I recommend this, turn on 2-factor authentication on your Microsoft account. You don't need to use it to log into Windows the first time you do, but after that you don't need it.
Because I use it on my Xbox and all that.
Yeah. No, my Microsoft account is stuff I don't want everybody to have. Absolutely.
Yeah.
2-factor. Always. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Leo, thank you very much.
Hey, you're welcome. And I'm going to play with this and see if I can figure this out. How to create add a local. Yeah, you see, what you want is a local account. And that could be your administrator. Oh, man. So here's 2562 says, add one Microsoft account, non-admin. That's the one you use day in, day out. And add a local admin account that's not associated with your Microsoft account. That makes sense. Run a local admin account. You know, I feel like Microsoft's making it hard to do the best thing to do, which is not run as administrator. I am Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Look at that. Here he is, our photo guy, Chris Marquardt at discoverthetopfloor.com. Chris joins us most weeks to talk about photography. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm well. Welcome to the show. You're a big traveler. And in fact,
so are you.
As we speak, I think I'm in Germany. I'm not sure. But I'm looking forward to visiting your land. I'm going to do a river cruise from the Netherlands down the Rhine to Mainz in the Main. We're going to turn left.
I've done that exact cruise.
Have you?
It's beautiful. Yes, I have. I've been teaching photography on one of these cruises. So.
Oh, I can't wait. So, I almost don't want to call it a cruise because it's on a river. So you're just kind of putting along there. But
about eight days in, you will go and start calling these ABC cruises another bloody city.
Yeah, because there's almost a city a day, I think. Yeah.
Or another bloody castle, depending.
Castle. That's it. We're seeing a lot of castles on the Rhine. But Chris, I know, of course, one of the main reasons you travel, one of the main reasons I travel is to take pictures.
Absolutely.
That's what I love to do while I travel. So I need advice.
It's capturing different cultures, and I've just two weeks ago I returned from my latest tour to India, the part of India that's wedged in between Nepal and Bhutan, Sikkim. That's where Darjeeling is, West Bengal, and then we added some time in Bhutan, which is this mountain kingdom there that has very limited tourism, and Nepal. And it's a truly remarkable area. You know, people aren't rich. They still seem to be so happy. And one of the things you learn as a photographer, you learn pretty quickly in some of these countries, is there are different kinds of standards for example, when it comes to things like eye contact, when it comes to personal space. You know, if you stare at someone in the United States, it's probably going to be a bit of an intrusion into their personal space for them.
Right.
Over there, staring is kind of okay. They will all look at you. And if you look back, there's a good chance if you make eye contact that you, instead of getting a frown that you might get in a Western culture, you get a smile back. And
so do you smile first?
Well, here's the trick that I usually do. I walk, I see someone coming my way, and I look at them, waiting for them to make eye contact. And when they do, that's usually they're a bit shocked. No, not really shocked, but slightly surprised because they didn't expect a guy like me there. And then I give them a big smile, and I get an even bigger smile back.
I love taking people pictures. I'm too shy to do it, and that's what I always want to do is take pictures of the people. Look at these beautiful shots. Chris has put up some of his most recent travel shots. Can I give out the address?
Totally, absolutely.
tftttf.com/EF.
Yeah, it's a weird abbreviation, but it works.
Oh, these are beautiful shots. Oh,
some people say, "Oh, you and your expensive cameras, and you go to different countries, and you behave like you're in a zoo, and you're taking pictures of people, and that's not nice." But you know what? When you're there, you are actually the zoo because people are just not used to seeing a lot of tourists in some of these areas, and then they will start to look at you, and you have to kind of get used to being in the middle of the attention.
Now, I presume there's a language
situation.
There's a language barrier too. So do you look at them, wink, and waggle your camera? How do you?
Absolutely, that's what you do. I mean, that's what you. Just imagine you would do that with someone at home that you are too far away to talk to, or at a loud party or something. Yeah. What will you do? You will raise the camera. You will point at it. You will do a gesture, raise your eyebrows, give a bit of an affirming nod or something.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, we had so much great stuff there. Tea was the big theme of the tour, so we went to Darjeeling.
I see the tea fields. These are
We got access to tea plantations, tea pluckers at work, the whole process. Like in Darjeeling, they're only picking the youngest, greenest tea leaves. And then
beautiful.
Bhutan is another country that is just amazing. They have a really hard limit on tourism, 60,000 tourists a year.
Wow.
Which is pretty much nothing. So being there means you will meet people who but pretty much haven't really seen foreigners that much, and that gives it a very different dynamic, as if you were in a country that is used to tourists.
Yeah, see, we're going. They're going to go, get out of my face with that camera, you American. They're used to tourists. They're quite a few.
No, smiles will to a certain degree work in Germany.
But see,
I
don't want to just take pictures of landmarks and of rivers, and I want to see people. I love taking pictures of people.
Grumpy Germans, good
choice. Well, it's pretty hot right now in Germany, so I imagine somebody will be a little grumpy, but I can't wait.
I actually don't think so.
No, it's going to be fun.
And the other thing, apart from taking pictures of people in different countries, obviously, is also you will see things that are outright unusual for your culture, for where you come from. You will certainly see a few things in Germany that you might not have expected. But in India, we saw a goat in a bag hanging off a bicycle handlebar because someone was taking his goat back home from a market. Or 20 people hitching a ride on top of a road tanker, like a fuel-filled vehicle, or amazingly painted trucks, things that we don't see in Germany. Or in one of the areas we went to, rice planters that were just planting the rice fields, like the flooded fields in water.
Yeah,
and they were super open, and then at one point they all of a sudden went, "Hey, come in, help us." so one of us got in the water and helped them plant.
How
rice.
fun is that?
That was fun.
That's pretty cool.
And it's also an amazing contrast between tradition and the modern thing. I mean, just imagine a Buddhist monk with a smartphone. Pretty much everyone there has smartphones.
Really?
Now.
Oh, that's interesting.
So you see this tradition and the modern world kind of colliding, and not really colliding, but being nicely integrated. So all these things can happen when you travel. So travel is a great thing. Travel is wonderful.
Oh, I love to travel. I love to do it, but having a camera in my hand makes it kind of fun. And of course, afterwards, you get great memories and great images. One of the things I like to do, and I probably will do on this trip, is shoot short 5 or 6 seconds of video in between, because most cameras will do that. So I can shoot some stills, but some video as well. And it's nice to make a kind of a travel log just by piecing it all together with some of the natural sound behind it, maybe some music. That's fun too. It's great.
And if you have these short snippets, you can just edit them together into a little video that will tell some sort of a story. I've done that a lot.
Yeah, and it's just that's for me, for the memory. Remember this? Oh, there we are getting on the boat. Oh yeah, there we are going down the river. Oh yeah, there's another castle. Oh yeah.
Oh, and by the way, when you're in Germany, most Germans will speak English. So asking someone if you can take a picture, we won't have any issues.
I think no one who listens to this show realizes, or few do, that Chris is as beautiful as his English is not a native English speaker. He joins us each week from Germany, from the Viewfinder Villa in Germany.
Yep, near Hanover.
Your perfect English, though, it fools us. So.
Well, thank you. But it's far from perfect. I'm still working hard.
Chris, is always a pleasure. ChrisMarquardt.com. That's the place you can go to find out more about his workshops. I know you're coming to the United States this summer, right? Is that still on?
I'm coming in October
this fall.
New York and to San Diego.
Excellent. Discover the Top Floor. You'll find out about that. And if you want to look at his beautiful pictures from China and Bhutan, it's all online. TFTTF. I should explain that abbreviation. And this is how I got to know Chris. He's a podcaster. His show, Tips from the Top Floor, it's in English. Fabulous photography podcast. TF, Tips from TTF, thetopfloor.com, TFTTF.com/EF for the goat in the bag. and other fabulous pictures of your travels.
Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that great?
Oh, I love it. Now, do you do how much retouching at the end do you do? Do you a lot of Photoshop?
This one was mainly contrast and colors, but no cropping.
Just a little bit of the sliders to just pop it a little bit. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I love it. Thank you, Chris. We'll talk again very soon. TFTTF.com/EF. Leo Laporte. I am the Tech Guy. I am Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Back to the phones we go here. And Linda in Cranston, Rhode Island. Hey, that's where my mom and my sister live. Hi, Linda.
Oh, hi. How are you?
Say hi to my mom down the street there. She's over there on Swift Street.
Oh, not sure what that is.
I hope. It's just a dead end. It's not. You would never know. What can I do for you?
I'm in the market for a new laptop, and basically I use my laptop for like Word, Excel, maybe some QuickBooks, and mostly for storing pictures. So I was wondering what you recommend.
So any Windows laptop should work just fine for that, because that's not very demanding. Unless you have massive now, even if you had massive Excel spreadsheets, Excel is not very demanding. So really what you want is storage, though, don't you? You want a lot of hard drive space.
Right.
Because you're storing your pictures there and your office documents and so forth. And tell me what's important to you in a laptop. Is thin and light more important than long battery life? What do you look for in a laptop? What are the criteria that make you love it? You want thin, light, portable, but often when you do that, you're going to get a smaller screen and maybe less battery life, that kind of thing.
Oh, I kind of like the big screen.
You like a big screen?
Yeah.
And you don't mind if it's heavy?
No, I don't mind, as long as it's good and efficient.
It's kind of like your desktop replacement, isn't it? It's like instead of buying a desktop computer nowadays, most people just buy laptops because they can put them away, out of sight, doesn't take up a lot of space in the house.
Right, that's what I'm looking to
That's
do.
what you're looking. You don't care so much about portability.
No.
And how about price? What's your price range?
Under 500.
Okay. That's, you can 500. I would say let's not go too under 500. I know we don't want to spend money unnecessarily, but it's sometimes a foolish economy to spend too little. HP makes these Stream laptops for $200. They're fine, but they're slow. The keyboard's not great. The screen's not great. After, you want to use this. You want to be comfortable with it.
Right.
500, though, seems doable. I'll give you some of the specs you're probably going to not worry too much about. The processor speed. An i5 would be fine, Intel i5 processor. Look for the 4th generation. That's going to give you a better performance and better battery life. You're going to want 8 gigs of RAM. 4 would probably be enough, but let's not be too cheap. Let's go for 8 gigs of RAM. Yeah. And I think given what you want to do, you're going to want at least a 512 gig hard drive.
Okay.
But I think in your price point, you could probably get all of that for around $500. I like Dell an awful lot. I think in this case, you'll be getting one of their Inspiron laptops, and they're fairly affordable. Let me just is 15 inch? They make 17 inches, but is 15 inches enough for you?
Yeah, 15 is fine.
Okay. You could go as big as 17. That thing would be like a pizza box.
Yeah.
I would say the new Inspiron 15-inch laptop, pretty darn good laptop. And if you get the specs I just quoted, they start at $400, and you could add a little memory to that. But a 500 gig hard drive, an Intel processor. These are kind of the lower end Dells. I think they're well made. I think they do a good job, and the price is absolutely right.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right.
Appreciate your help.
My pleasure. Yeah. Dell is kind of Dell isn't inspiring, despite the name of the Inspiron. I mean, they're kind of industrial looking, but they get the job done. My laptop right now that I have right in front of me is the new XPS 13 from Dell. I just really love it. It's solid. Another good company for laptops, although I don't recommend them for consumer-level laptops, the $500 laptops, but for business laptops, I like Lenovo. Can't recommend them for consumer-grade laptops. Acer and Asus are quite good. Acer's changed its strategy. For a long time, they had very inexpensive laptops, and then they had, kind of consumer laptops that were really pretty junky. And then they would have fancier laptops that were a little more expensive and actually were great. A long time I used the Acer S7 as my go-to Windows laptop. I think if you get one of the slightly more expensive Acer laptops, you're going to be pretty happy there too. They're quite a few good choices. Somebody's in the chat room saying, and I agree, it's hard to trust Lenovo after the Superfish fiasco. Remember that? They knowingly put malware on their laptops so they can make a little extra money. But it severely compromised the security of the laptops. They apologized, offered a removal tool, but it makes it hard for me to trust them. And those are only on the consumer, not the business grade. And we are back to the calls. And let me see who we have here. Paul, Palmdale, California. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Leo. How you doing?
I'm well. Welcome. What can I do for you?
Well, I got two questions. One is a sentimental thing, and the other one is I'm a cheap dad thing.
Okay.
I bought my daughter a really cheap tablet, and now the screen has frozen on it.
Oh, which tablet did you?
It's some cheap Z-Pad Android 4.2.
Oh man.
I don't know if I want.
How cheap was it?
It only cost me $61. But
this is what I was just saying to our last caller, that sometimes it's a false economy to spend too little on technology. Because, yeah, it was only $60, but how much use did you get out of it?
So I'm a cheap dad.
How old is your daughter?
One for my son, and all he did was smash the screen.
Well, that's right. That's not cheap. That's smart. You didn't.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you were thinking, I'm not going to buy a very expensive tablet for her. She's just going to break it. How old is she?
She's 14.
Yeah.
But she doesn't even really use the thing.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I ended up trying to turn it on to go play some of the games they showed me. And it wouldn't come on anymore.
Dad! Okay, so I almost certainly, it probably isn't broken. But it sounds like it was sitting for a while and it lost its charge, didn't it?
It loses its charge a lot.
Yeah. So plug it in and let it sit for as long as you can and let it charge up. This has happened to me even with the better Google Nexus tablets. And I bet you the same thing is happening here.
Well, I did do that. I charged it.
Charge it, and then you press the
volume.
Yeah. Oh, you did it.
On.
Yeah.
Yes. And it brought me to that screen where I could go and reset factory defaults.
Good.
The cache.
Yeah.
It didn't do anything. I think it's just done for.
Dad. Just sneak it out of her room in the middle of the night. She'll never notice. Dad, it's
because my son's one works, but the screen's broken. Is there a way for me to take this apart?
I wish, right? Are they the same?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Probably not.
Well, I mean, it's dead anyway. I might as well dissect it.
Yeah. So I would not give up yet on your daughters, to believe it or not. You did the restore, but you said nothing happened?
Yeah, it just goes right back to that Z-Pad 7D arcade screen.
Yeah.
Android 4.2 and stays.
And just sticks, huh?
That's all it does.
Yeah, that does sound like that's broken.
Give me something to play with, right?
Yeah, take it apart, see what happens. It's probably glued.
No, I got it apart.
Oh, you did?
Looking for some kind of battery or something in that I could pop out, and there's no such thing.
There's your problem.
So I'm wondering if I could just maybe swap out the screens on each one. And
yeah, you might be able to. The screens usually are attached by a kind of a ribbon cable to the main circuit board, the motherboard. Boy.
Let's get off that because I know I'm a cheap dad. So now let me go to my sentimental one.
Okay. Wait a minute. Hold on. We got to take a break, and then we'll go to your sentimental one. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I am Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hope you're having a great summer weekend. First weekend of summer, right? Right? We had the solstice. I said the other day I was talking about that. Was it last weekend? I guess it was. It was last Sunday. I said, this is the longest day of the year. And somebody called me up and said, no, the day's always 24 hours. It is not the longest day of the year. Okay, literal net. Okay. It's the most sunlight of the year, right? What? It's the shortest night. That works, right? Because night is not 24 hours. All right, we'll call it. Thank you, John, my studio manager, who is, okay, he's the guy who always runs in here and tells me it's not daylight savings, it's daylight saving. So he's a little bit on the literal side. He says you can say it's the shortest night of the year. It's not the longest day. Whatever. Whatevs. The thing I hate is that the day is now getting shorter. I mean, the night is getting longer. I don't like that summer solstice. That means we're headed to winter. We do have a leap second coming. Are you prepared for the leap second? These are more common than you think. The leap second is at the end of June. So what is that? This is the 28th, 29th, 30th. Midnight, Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. We will all get an extra second. Is that exciting or what? You'd have to be looking closely at an atomic clock to notice it. At 23:59 and 59 seconds would normally go to 000000 midnight, but an additional second will make the time on the atomic clock only. I don't think your computer is going to do this. 23:59:60. You would not normally see 23:59:60, and then it'll reset to 0. This is because our atomic clocks are too accurate, frankly. The Earth is apparently just slowing down a little bit, so we got to add a leap second. And this can actually be a problem. The last leap second was June 2012, and websites got confused. Reddit, LinkedIn, in Australia, the Qantas check-in system, the computers that check you into Qantas Airlines, broke. 400 flights were delayed because of the leap second. This is happening again on Tuesday. I hope you're not flying anywhere. But we've got to do it because otherwise, and believe it or not, the time synchronization is hugely important. I'll give you an example. Because of relativity, get that, time at a satellite is a little bit, now what is it, John, slower or faster? It's slower, right? Or is it faster on a satellite than it is on the Earth? Because we're closer to the Earth's gravity field. I don't know. There is a relativistic difference from the satellites that we get the GPS from to the Earth. And so they have to make an adjustment to the time to account for relativity. Einstein was right. Accuracy is so important. So important. And there are many examples of these atomic clocks causing problems. In 2013, you've heard about flash trading, right? These high-frequency traders, great book, Flash Boys, a must-read. These guys are amazing. The way they work is they take advantage of millionths of a second differences. The amount of time it takes for data, for instance, to get from Chicago to the New York Stock Exchange. It's almost like the Sting. Remember that? Robert Redford and Paul Newman, the Sting. They delayed the race results just a few seconds, enough so they could know who the winner of the race would be, put down a bet on it, and then the information would come in and they'd win every time. That was the Sting. Or what was the theory anyway behind the Sting? Did it work? I can't remember. I know there was gunplay involved. Well, this is how high-frequency trader works. So back in 2013, high-frequency traders were waiting for the publication of U.S. manufacturing data. The government publishes that every quarter. And it was supposed to come out exactly 10 a.m., 10:00:00. But a synchronization glitch made that Reuters published it at 9:59:59.985, 15 thousandths of a second early. Reuters clients, because they got that information 15 thousandths of a second early, made 18 million pounds. They had that information just a little bit early, not even a second early, 15 thousandths of a second early, and they were able to trade on that information, buy the right stocks or whatever it is, and make 18 million pounds, about $25 million, just because they were that much in advance. What? So this is how important time is in synchronization, and this is why the leap second can cause issues. And, of course, we're all relying on these atomic clocks based on cesium, right? Are we still using cesium? Because we knew the decay rate of the atomic material. The second was defined as how... Okay, the second... you want to know what the definition of a second? You ready for this? According to the time lab, wherever these people are, they have defined the second as not a fraction of the solar day, not 1/60th times 1/60th times 24 of the solar day, but in fact, how often electrons inside a cesium atom jump between two energy levels, and a second is the time it takes for 9,192,631,770 of these oscillations between states of an electron and the cesium. That's a second. Which is good, because we can now divide the second up into 9 billionths. Today's atomic clocks are so good they'll take 158 million years to gain or lose a second. So a leap second's a big deal. That's a lot of time. It's an infinite amount of time to our machines. So get ready. I don't know what's going to break, or if it could, it's like Y2K. Remember that? How everything was going to break in Y2K. Well, Tuesday at midnight, Wednesday morning, everything could break, or it just could be Qantas. I don't know. What a world we live in where these things matter so much. The new atomic clocks, by the way, they're going to be even better. The new clocks will lose or gain a second over the lifetime of the universe. What? That's 14 billion years, give or take. That's pretty accurate. That's almost as good as the Apple Watch. Yeah. That was a big selling point of the Apple Watch. We're going to be super accurate. And it is. You know how you know it is? If you take 10 Apple Watches, good luck finding them. If you take 10 Apple Watches, you put them all to the Mickey Mouse face. That's the one where Mickey's staring at you and tapping his toes. And you put them all side by side. The toe taps are in synchronization. That's how all of these watches are exactly synchronized. The Apple Watch, it loses a second every 14 billion years. No, I think it probably loses its time much more rapidly than that, but it's constantly calibrated. Wow. Chaos ahead Tuesday as the scientists let the world catch up with the clocks. The leap second. I hope you're ready for it. Meanwhile, let's more prosaic, more mundane matters as we continue with your calls. More of your calls coming up. I am Leo Laporte. Wait for it. The Tech Guy. I am Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. We're talking high tech. And at the top of the hour, we were talking to Paul in Palmdale, California. We established he was a cheap dad buying a $60 tablet. I've seen tablets at gas stations for $30. You just don't buy those. It's just a mistake. Because you don't
have to rub it in.
I'm not going to rub it in. You did. You know what? Your son broke it. Maybe your daughter broke it hers, and it's just, it's just this. She didn't break the screen. What is your sentimental question?
Okay. About 11 years ago, my oldest daughter was about 8 years old and decided she stopped believing in the tooth fairy.
Oh, well, I got to tell everybody, if you stop believing, they don't give you any money for your teeth.
Well, that's what I told her. I made her a CD written from the tooth fairy saying that your dad's really worried about you and he doesn't want you growing up and things like that. And I changed the font into some fairy-looking thing. So she could plug it in and then change the font so she could actually read it in English.
Oh, aren't you a sweetie?
Oh. Yeah, I hate being gooey. I'm cheap.
Oh, cheap and gooey.
No, that's kind of like a Starburst. But now I don't have an XP computer anymore, so I finally got this back after she got older. She's 19 now.
She says, I don't want this anymore. Here, Dad.
Well, now I have it. It's for me. Really.
Oh, yeah. So you said it's a CD.
Yes, I can't get the font. It's like it doesn't exist anymore on my Windows 7.
Yeah, you used a font that was on the XP machine,
Yeah, I think it was XP.
Yeah.
What was the one before XP? I don't remember.
Windows 98 SE?
I don't know if it was that or the XP. I don't remember.
11 years ago, it's probably XP. So, yeah, I mean, you don't know what that font is. So it's rendering, but it's in English.
No, I get a bunch of zeros and squares.
Oh, interesting, yeah.
So I'm wondering, is there a way for me to download like XP fonts and then scroll through them to see if it comes back into English? Because I don't understand Fairy.
Yeah. So what did it look like? What did it kind of look like?
Oh, you know what? I couldn't even tell. I pulled it up yesterday. I don't know.
I bet it was not a Windows font, because I don't think any weird Fairy fonts come with Windows. I bet it was a font that came with Roxio CD Creator or Slideshow or something.
It was just a Windows. It was just a Windows font.
Okay.
Whatever was in your font for doing Word programs and stuff.
Huh. Problem is we can't see the font. You can, and we'll put a link in the show notes. Somebody has come up in the chat room. Thank you, Creamy Corn Cob. That's his name. You can download a Windows XP font pack from Microsoft Download Center. It looks like it's Chinese, but
oh, that's what it looks like now.
Maybe that's what you used. Who knew the Tooth Fairy spoke Chinese? So if you go to Microsoft.com/download, the Windows Download Center, they do have things like the fonts packs that came with Windows and stuff like that. Because there's no money in that.
Okay.
So I would just start downloading fonts. Now here's a question, and I don't know what the answer is, but maybe the chat room does. Could you look at what is the document? Is it a word process? It's a Word document?
I believe that I did it on Word.
Okay.
1997 or
okay. So you can actually look in the document itself and see there will be an English language text of what font you used, believe it or not. You don't want to open it in Word because Word interprets the doc file. What you want to do is open it in a text, force it to be opened in a text like Notepad, and you'll see it looks like mostly gobbledygook, but there will be formatting commands that will actually say the name of a font, for instance, right before the text.
Okay.
Because then you could find the font. Somebody in the chat room saying they're probably right. It's a Wingdings font. So
that kind of almost sounds familiar.
Yeah, Wingdings is a great font. It's not letters. It's just pictures. It looks like a fairy might use it.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, it's probably Wingdings then. Yeah, Wingdings came with Windows XP, I think. So, download Wingdings.
And if I download the Wingdings, I should be able to transfer it over into like Times New Roman.
Because you want the plain text.
Yeah, I want to be able to read it.
Oh.
Part of my life. I would like to keep it, and I might not even put it back into the fairy thing, or maybe.
Right, I see what you're saying. You don't want to get you just want the original text.
Yeah, I want to know what it said.
He's not seeing it as Roman text. He's only seeing it as zeros and copy, paste, change font. Copy, paste. He's saying you can. And you're opening it in Word, right?
Actually, no. I put it on my computer and I just say open files.
Do you have Word?
Yes, I think it does open it up, and yes, it does open it up.
Okay.
And
so select the whole text and take it. Just try this. Select all the text and select a different font.
It doesn't let me. It doesn't show anything.
It won't let you.
The closest thing I got was maybe one or two words out of it that I might understand. I don't even know if they're right.
I'm tempted to say, just mail me the file and I'll see what I can do. You want to email me the file?
Yeah,
I promise not to reveal it to the world. We have people here champing at the bit who say, we can get that. We can figure out what's going on.
So what was your email address?
Leo@techguylabs.com. Okay. Let me. So you're saying you select the text in Microsoft Word and you go up to the ruler and you select like Times New Roman, and it just doesn't make it legible.
Right. When I actually made the disc, I wrote it all out and I changed it to some fairy font, and I went back and put it into the New Roman or something, and it would translate it.
Right.
So I saved it as the ferry.
Yeah, but it should still, yeah.
I don't have that.
I wonder if the file got corrupted.
It doesn't find that font. It shows it to me the way I made it.
You're seeing it as a ferry font.
Yes. And there's no font that I guess this ferry font was to let it transfer. Maybe they got rid of that font.
I don't think. No, I think now that you describe this, that's not exactly what's going on. So you're seeing it on the Word in Word as it was as a ferry.
Correct.
And what you used to do for your daughter is you'd select the text, select Times New Roman, and then it'd go into English.
Correct.
But you do that now, and it doesn't.
Right. Now I get the squares and the O's and sometimes some cursive writing that doesn't make sense either.
It sounds like the file's gotten damaged, but it was on a CD, you say?
No, on a CD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, that's odd. Yeah, send it to leo@techguylabs.com, and if I could figure it out, or one of our my Jammer B, our studio guy's jumping up and down. He wants to get his hands on this. He says, I can fix this. It does sound like frankly, what's happened is that the file is damaged, but I don't know how it would get damaged on a CD. But it's not a font issue exactly, because you're seeing whatever, the wingdings or whatever. But the problem is when you select it and select a normal font, it doesn't look normal anymore. We're gonna fix this, because I'm a softie too, and my daughter's 23, and you brought a little tear to my eye there. So John will solve that for us. Leo Laporte, and we'll mail it back to you. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I am Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We're waiting for the email from Paul of his fairy font. Once we get this, I'm going to maybe before this show is over, I might have this for Paul. We're gonna get this solved. Jammer B, he's put it on his Inspector Clouseau hat. I can read this. Does your fairy bite? Moving on to Chuck, Asheville, Alabama. Hello, Chuck.
Hi, Leo. How you doing today?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. Hey, I lived out in Mountain View, Sunnyvale, back in the late 80s through the mid-90s. And I think I remember you from something. Did you do a local TV, radio segment out there?
I sure did. That's the heart of Silicon Valley. And I started working in San Francisco. I was in San Jose through the late 70s, early 80s, then moved to San Francisco in 84. Didn't really start talking about computers till about 89. Was it computer stuff you remember?
Yeah, that's about the time I remember you.
Yeah. I did a show on, I was promiscuous as heck.
ABC station?
Yeah, I did on Cron, Channel 4, which is NBC. I did a show called New Media News, did that for a few years. I also did a show on PBS called Internet! Internet! Fortunately, that show seems to have disappeared without a trace, thank goodness. And I was on the radio. I've done a lot of things, and that was exciting times, right? That was the early 90s band, but the Internet was starting to take off, mid-90s. It was exciting.
I enjoyed watching you or listening to you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Before Tech TV come along.
It was before Tech TV, which started in 98, much later.
Yeah. Well, I was in Alabama by then, so.
I was a young man. My hair was still brown.
Yeah, well, my hair is gray too now. So.
It's about 50 pounds ago. What can I do for you?
I'm running Windows 7 on a Mac, a MacBook Pro under Boot Camp.
All right.
And a couple months ago, it started when Windows does its good old update on Wednesday nights. It started when I get up on Thursday morning to come in my office to do work.
Yeah.
It wouldn't boot up anymore. It would boot up to the login and then just cycle through.
Sounds like it got damaged, doesn't it?
And I would boot up into safe mode and go do the restore.
So you were able to boot into safe mode?
Yeah, it would let me boot into safe mode.
Good.
I do the restore, but the only restore it would let me do was the one right before it did its Windows update. If I would look for other restore points and try to go back to any of those, it would come up with didn't like the file format or something. So does the Mac do something to
Yeah, kind of. So Boot Camp allows you to take the hard drive Boot Camp allows you to take the hard drive, split it into 2 partitions, and then format that second partition for Windows and install Windows just like it's a PC. So at that point, when you're using Boot Camp, it's a PC. However, because Apple makes the hardware, you have to use Apple's drivers. Drivers are kind of a clever invention. The idea that we want to make an operating system that'll work on a wide variety of hardware. You know, not just motherboards, but also video cards, keyboards, mice, printers, all that stuff. So you could build into the operating system how to talk to all of those, or you could create this abstraction that the operating system, Windows, would talk to an abstract device, and then the driver would translate that into the specific commands for that specific hardware. So a driver is almost like a translator. It's an intermediary between the operating system, which really doesn't know the difference between a Logitech keyboard and a Microsoft keyboard, doesn't know the difference between different kinds of hard drives or sound cards. The operating system would use these translators to talk to it, these drivers. Now, the drivers are generally made by the manufacturer of the peripheral, of the equipment, of the motherboard, the sound card, the video card. And occasionally Microsoft would also make some. Microsoft also had something called the Hardware Quality Lab, or WHQL, that would certify drivers. In some cases, you'd have multiple sources of drivers. If you used an NVIDIA video card, for instance, there'd be NVIDIA, which designed the platform but didn't make the card. Another company that made the card, they'd both have drivers. And then Microsoft might have a third set of drivers for that video card from the WHQL labs. So it could get confusing. In the case of Apple, there's one and only one source of the drivers. That's Apple. In fact, you remember, I don't know if you do, but you remember when you set up Boot Camp, one of the parts of that process is very important. It says, okay, now give me a USB key, and I will copy the drivers onto that. And you're going to need to, after you install Windows, you're going to need to install those drivers. Because you're able to start Windows up in the safe mode, safe mode means just the basic set of drivers, but you can't start it up in any other mode. It sounds to me like the Apple drivers got overwritten by the Windows update. Windows might have said, oh, I know what kind of video card you have, and put the driver on there, and it's the wrong one. So do you still have the key or whatever device you use to make Windows drivers for Boot Camp? Do you remember doing that?
Yeah, I remember doing that, but I don't have that anymore.
Well, here's the good news. You can run the Boot Camp Assistant again from the Macintosh. Boot into the Macintosh. Run the Boot Camp Assistant. And there's a point you can, there's a command, make a driver's disk. And make those drivers. And try that. Go into safe mode on your Windows machine and install those drivers. I bet you that's what happened.
Yeah, well, in the meantime, I just turned off Windows Update, so...
You want to do Windows Update generally because that's all those fixes for security holes. You don't really want to get on the internet without them. But
I know that. But
so you rolled it back with System Restore to prior to the update, and you just didn't do it. You're not going to do the update again.
Basically, the last restore point that it created.
You might look at the update and see what's in it. You want the critical parts, but you don't. You'll notice in optional there are often driver updates. You don't want those for sure. So maybe it's just the optional ones, and you could do without those.
Yeah. Okay.
That'd be my guess. Microsoft, Windows is designed to work with a broad variety of hardware from many different manufacturers. They don't discriminate against Apple. They don't say, oh, well, you can install it on a Dell, but not on an Apple. They understand Apple's another manufacturer of Windows hardware.
Well, as long as it sees the Intel chip, it's okay.
Yeah. Well, it's not. You're not doing any tricks, really. You're just saying this Macintosh, this MacBook I have here, this is a Windows machine, and Windows should install on it just fine. It just may be that the only thing I can think of is that maybe Microsoft overwrote the driver, saying, "Well, I see that that's an NVIDIA GX 760 card, so I'm going GTX 760. So I'm going to give you the updated GTX 760 driver." In fact, that's not what you want. You want to use the Apple driver. So I suspect that's probably what happened. And usually those driver updates are not critical updates. They're usually part of the optional updates. So check and see. Make sure. I would say on a boot camp system, you probably only want to install critical updates. Be very careful about optional updates. The other thing you can do is there is on that Windows a Apple utility they put on all Windows. Make sure you can also, if you can get it to run. Actually, this might be the easiest way to do it. Even in safe mode, you should be able to run that Apple utility and have it download the latest drivers from Apple, not from someone else. Keith 512 said this happened to him with an AMD display driver. So maybe that is the case. Maybe there's something going on. In other words, the update installed a driver you didn't want. Have we got the email yet from Paul? I want some fairy script. I'm gonna take a look, check my email box, see if we can translate some fairy here, and continue to take calls. Another segment to come before we go home. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You stay right here now. Will you? It's Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Still waiting for my fairy script email. Haven't got it yet, Paul. Can you send it along? I want to do some fairy translation. But meanwhile, I'll try to just translate geek speak for our next caller, Jim in Atlanta. Hi, Jim. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo.
Hey.
I got a trip coming up to Australia and New Zealand coming up in January, February of next year.
Yeah.
And I want to use Waze while I'm in New Zealand.
You're a Waze addict. I am too.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I love Waze.
So I have an iPhone 5S. AT&T is the supplier or whatever you call them.
Yeah.
And so how would I go about doing this for the most cost-effective way?
So the first thing to do is make sure Waze works in New Zealand. They have a page, actually I just searched for it at Waze.com that says what countries. And yes, New Zealand is covered by Waze Maps. That's good.
Yeah.
Waze is an Israeli company that was purchased by Google. So it's not surprising that they're nicely internationalized. They actually, it looks like they handle quite a few countries. The next issue, of course, is the data issue.
Yeah.
And that's a more significant issue. Google Maps allows you to download the map information. So you could be at the hotel in the morning and use the Wi-Fi, the free Wi-Fi at the hotel, to download the maps for everywhere you'll go. In a way, it's kind of weird. What you do is you select the radius on the map of the area you want to download, and then you say, download these for offline use. Waze, as to my knowledge, Waze does not have an offline mode.
Well, I kind of like that, though, because that way you can see where the traffic is and where the police are and all that.
Well, of course, that wouldn't work because that comes from the internet. So, I mean, it'd be nice, I guess, if you could download the maps, then you just have the signal about traffic and stuff. But that's in real time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Let me just see if I can find a download. Yeah.
So you're thinking, obviously, that it would be the most cost effective. But if I did,
well, Google Maps or some map solution that keeps the map on the hard, on the storage of the phone would be the best, because then you at least wouldn't have to download the maps. But you would still need to get online to get traffic information, police information, and that kind of thing. I don't think Waze does that. I think Waze is very much online, which is one of the reasons, Google hasn't replaced Google Maps with Waze, even though they bought it for a lot of money. They're slowly adding some of the Waze features into Google Maps, including traffic. They don't have that police warning, though. I like that.
Yeah.
There's a speed trap ahead.
So really no cost-effective solution for getting data down there.
Well, not for Waze. You can use other, like I said, you can use other applications and download ahead of time.
Okay.
I wonder, yeah. You can use Here Maps. That's free from Nokia.
Here Maps.
Here, Here, will download, just like Google Maps, but really more aggressively, will download ahead of time all the maps you need. You could get it now before you leave. But you're not going to get you're not going to get the traffic information without real-time data.
Okay.
Because that's how it gets it. It says, well, okay, up ahead, how's the traffic?
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, though, before I travel, absolutely, I love Here Maps. And I will use Here Maps, and it's got turn-by-turn, all the stuff you'd expect. I download the maps before I go, and you do it country by a time or continent at a time. You could probably get all of Oceania, and it's free.
Beautiful.
So I'd at least do that. You just won't get the traffic and the police warnings. I'm sorry. But you know what? It's New Zealand. They're nice. It's a nice country. They're not going to bug you. They're nice there. Fernando, in Nuremberg. I'm going to be in Nuremberg.
Yes, hello.
Hello, Fernando. How are you?
Fine, fine. A lot of very hot weather right now.
Yeah, I'm going to be there, let's see, like 4th of July.
Oh, great. So you will have very, very light clothing because it will be hot.
Good to know. We're on a river cruise. We're going down the Rhine and then to the Main and then to the Danube. And you're on the Main, right?
No, it's a very, very small river, really. It's very, very small. And we have a canal. How do you say?
Canal, yeah.
A canal,
yeah.
Which you go through.
I can't wait. I'm so excited. And do you have castles in Nuremberg?
Oh, yes. A big castle is up in the hill.
That's what I want to see.
Yes, you have to see that. And the city is medieval with walls around. It's really very, very nice.
I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun. And it's going to be hot. That's good to know.
Yes.
Yeah. And on the 4th of July, you have fireworks?
No, not at all.
What can I do for you?
Okay, I have another question.
Yes.
I have seen you, oh my God, since you remember the C-band dishes?
Yeah, you used to watch Tech TV on the C-band?
Yes, but in Mexico.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, yes. Many, many kilograms of ago.
Yeah, me too. I usually try to use British stone. It doesn't sound so bad.
Yeah.
Many stone ago.
So you have this right on the air thing that behind you. What's the story of your?
Oh, you're watching the video, huh?
Yes, all the time.
Yeah, we have viewers all over the country, all over the world, I should say, obviously, in Germany as well, and Mexico, watching via the internet, and they can sometimes. Some of them are watching video at our website, twit.tv. So I have an on-air. You know, when I turn off my mic. I'm sorry, I just turned off my mic. That doesn't work on the radio. When I turn off my mic, it goes off. It's an on-air light, but it's a classic. Kind of looks. You recognize kind of Fernando? It looks a little bit like a hippie script.
Yes, 70s. Oh.
Yeah, it came from. I got this from an old San Francisco radio station. It was a hippie station called KKSF. Oh. When I moved to San Francisco in radio, you know, that's what you're supposed to do in radio. You start in a small town, you move to a bigger one and a bigger one and a bigger one. And San Francisco, that was the big market. When I moved to San Francisco, I was on a radio station called Clock FM, and they bought KKSF, the radio station. They bought the studios and everything. And I remember it was noon. The transfer happened at noon. The DJ from the rock station that was there played, I don't know, Don't Fear the Reaper by Blue Oyster Cult, and then walked out the door. That was it. We're done. And I sat down to play a Neil Diamond song. And I said, hey, before he was leaving, I said, hey, that's a really cool, don't you want your on-the-air sign? That's really cool. He said, no, man, you could keep it, man. I'm out of here. So I did. And I've had it ever since. And it is cool. And it has history. That's San Francisco hippie script right there.
Oh, great. And this is the original one?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
I kept it with me all this time. In fact, was it you, John, or Burke? John did it. Put lights in it because it didn't have. I unscrewed it from the wall. I just took it with me. Oh. Anyway, I'm glad you asked. And Fernando, so you're from Mexico, but you've moved to Germany, or you're working there? Or?
Yes, I live here, and I'm very happy living here.
Good. Well, I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to it, and I thank you for the tip. We will make sure to wear light summer clothes. I didn't know what to expect, frankly. I thought, we're going to be in the Black Forest. It's going to be freezing, but no, it's summertime.
I will be delighted if we can, if I can give you a small tour.
Watch my Twitter stream at Leo Laporte, and I'll tweet when I get there.
Great.
Nice to meet you, Fernando. Thanks for joining me. Thanks to all of you for being here. Heather Hammond, our phone ranger. Nathan Staten, our musical director. I'm Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Have a great Geek Week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the Twit Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.